Hi everybody, my name's Ashlyn and this is my first Think Aloud assignment. I chose to do my Think Aloud over an English language arts class for 7th grade. I would have already gone over and kind of started exploring literary elements with them. So this is not the first time they're hearing about these, but this should be the first time that I am actually modeling, going through a text, or in this case, a poem, and pointing out literary elements. And so we are learning about these literary elements to figure out the deeper meaning of these texts. So I want to show these students that, yes, you can just read over this and get the bare minimum of what the author is trying to tell you. But if you know what these literary elements are and you know how to decipher the deeper meaning and kind of use these to prepare and really explore of what the author is telling you, it provides a deeper meaning and a larger effect of what the text is trying to tell you. So here is my Think Aloud, number 1. So I chose to explore The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. True, nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been and am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I had heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. I had heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object there was none, passion there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never been given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. So I'm going to highlight this portion blue. Because this portion is an example, I think, is an example of symbolism. So symbolism is when an object, like a regular everyday object, represents a deeper meaning of something. So in this case, I think that the author is talking, he states, I think it was his eye. So an eye is an everyday object, but he's going deeper. It's causing him to think of something and kind of click in his head, and it is making him mad. I think it's making the narrator angry. So I believe that this eye, he's going into very large detail about it. It's pale blue. It has a film over it. It kind of reminds him of a vulture. It's a symbol. It's representing something more. Okay, so we're going to move on for that. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. So I'm reading, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man. That, I believe, is an example of foreshadowing. So this is why I am going to highlight this green. Okay, so foreshadowing is an author's hint or suggestion of an event that will happen or occur later in the story. So he made up his mind. He is going to kill this old man. He is suggesting, he's hinting that he has made up his mind. This is what he's going to do. And now he is going to tell us further how he did it, maybe why he did it. I don't know what more, but I know that this statement right there, that sentence, is an example of foreshadowing. I know that something is happening with this old man and he's going to lose his life. That is what I think the author is telling me right now. So now, this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing, but you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh so gently. And then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed, that no light shone out. And then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Ha! Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously. Oh, so cautiously, for the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. And this I did for 7 long nights, every night just at midnight. But I found the eye always closed, and so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. So I'm kind of stopping right here at this sentence, but I have been reading, I've been hearing a lot of I's, me. This gives me a hint of what point of view the story is written at. Since I'm seeing I's, me, so I'm going to highlight this portion pink. This is an example of the point of view. I found the eye always closed. This is telling me that the story is written in the first person. So the narrator is the one going through this story. So first person is very interesting, how to write a story in first person, because we get so much more detail of what is going on. We're getting insight of what is going on, not only the actions of who's writing the story, but also what's going on in their head. So this narrator is very detailed, and they're providing very detailed information about what is going on. So I believe that this story is written in first person. And every morning when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone, and inquiring how he has passed the night. So you see, he would have been a very profound old man, indeed, to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked in upon while he slept. Upon 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph. To think that there I was, opening the door, little by little, and he has not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. Okay, so from this part of the story, I have read the first portion. I have identified at least 3 literary elements: foreshadowing, symbolism, and point of view. So from here, we have a good portion left of the story. I'd say we're about 3/4 of the way through. And so from here on out, I would encourage my students to possibly get into pairs and finish the story, and I continue to identify literary elements. This would help conclude my lesson of how literary elements provide a deeper meaning of the story, and it helps us determine the purpose of the writing. Like, why is the author telling us this? Why was this story written? So that concludes my first Think Aloud number 1. I appreciate any feedback that you would give me. But thank you.